So, for today, I wanted to talk about some of the things that we do when we are in our first separation. And you could refer to them as mistakes, you could say these are things that you shouldn't be doing, but it's an experience, and most of us will do these things during our first separation. And there may be things that you would do in addition to what I have to share, but this is my experience. So at the time, I had just started therapy just before we broke up, just before we had the first separation. I had started therapy because I thought I was going crazy, and he also pushed me towards therapy. So I found this amazing lady who in a way changed my life by introducing me to what's called transactional analysis. And she suggested, in my last meeting with her, she suggested I read a book called I Am Okay, You're Okay, which is about transactional analysis and kind of goes deeper into what it's about and how you can live your life, change your relationships. And it's not a self-help book as such, it's a deep dive into this form of psychotherapy, and I recommend it to everybody who comes across, who meets me, and who's on this journey. And just generally, I feel like everyone should at least know what it is about, and I'm sure there is a lot of knowledge out there that's not been explored by me, and you might know something that's worked better for you. So I would encourage recommendations, I would encourage suggestions, and any other guidance you can share with me and everybody else who is here. Anyway, coming back to the point, so these are things that you would do that you might, I don't want to say regret later, but these are things that would keep you in a separate consciousness. It would keep you in a low vibration, low frequency, and you don't want that when you're trying to ascend and when you're trying to feel better, get better, reach that point of union within yourself. So one of the first things that you would do is, from my experience, what happened is when I was going through therapy and I was sharing the details of my relationship with my therapist, she was very dismissive of the guy. She called him borderline narcissist, and she said that this person was really using you, and you shouldn't go back to this person even if they come back. So if it so happens that they start missing you and they come and text you and ask you to meet, you shouldn't go until you have completed this therapy session. So at the time when she mentioned these things, I went about doing my own research into narcissism and what it's about and all of that, and a lot of YouTube algorithm was throwing a lot of suggestions to me which tended to indicate that this person was actually a narcissist, and I felt so much anger within myself towards him. I felt like everything everyone was telling me made sense, and until then I had not really shared my experience with anybody outside of the relationship, and the only person I shared some parts of the relationship issues was this therapist. And when I started feeling anger towards this person as a result of me letting all this judgment of him influence my thinking of this whole relationship, I started sharing things with my friends, and they were so shocked to hear. I mean, some things, when you're going through, when you're on this journey, some things are so ridiculous, you can't believe a human being is capable of doing these things. And it's only natural for somebody hearing all those things to tell you that they were toxic, that this is not what you should have been part of. And in hindsight, now that I've been on this journey for like a year, more than a year, I realized that these people were not wrong. They look at relationships a certain way where the partner is fulfilling needs, where each partner is fulfilling the needs of the other. So you would expect it to be very rosy, where very comforting, very comfortable, very reasonable, like a soulmate kind of a situation. But a twin flame journey is anything but that. It's much better, but it only gets to that point of much better when you have faced your own demons and you've looked at your shadow self and not rejected it. You've accepted yourself as a whole being, and outside of yourself and this journey, most people around you will be unawakened. They will still be sleeping, and they will question you for putting yourself through a situation like this, where when you could have been with anybody else who's much better and not be so obsessed, and they would just not understand why you're so obsessed about this person. So they would think you've gone crazy. That's what most people are going to think, and they're going to and there's going to be nobody who will listen to you when you have anything to share about them. And as you go through your journey and you experience different things, you experience almost miracles in your life, you will want to share it with people. You'll want people to know what is happening, all the things that you've been experiencing, but there's going to be no one who will listen to you without calling you crazy in their head. So the first thing that you shouldn't do is talk about your journey with anybody. Nobody, absolutely nobody. Not your therapist, not your friends, nobody. Over time, you will meet people you can share your story with. I guarantee it. You will meet people who will be on the journey as you, and for that you will have ascended to a certain level. And I'm not saying that's going to take a long time. For me, it did not take that long. I met people within a few months. I think I met somebody amazing who's also on this journey, and I think I met them during my first separation. So I guarantee that you will meet the people you can share your story with. But until then, just hold your tongue. And I understand the feelings you might have for your person, especially during the separation. I understand there's going to be so much anger and so much guilt for letting them be however they were, and also for chasing them when they did not treat you well. But just hang on there, because it's going to get better. So number one, do not talk to anybody about your relationship with your twin flame. The other thing is, don't take readings. I took a lot of readings during my relationship and after to figure out what the hell this was, and everyone said great things about him. Everyone said that this person has amazing energy, they are really good, but you need to figure out your life. That's what everyone consistently told me. Whoever I went to would say, this is a great person, but you need to figure out what it is that you want and focus on your life. And I would just not understand. They would say things like, you need to work on yourself. And I didn't know what the hell working on yourself meant at the time. I used to wonder, how are they saying that this person has good energy when he's not treating me right? You know, everyone has such high opinions about him. But even though I have such unconditional feelings under all this guilt and anger and blame energy, I still feel that love for them. But how is everybody thinking that they are a balanced person or they have this good energy about them when my experience is completely different? So it's going to be very, very confusing, and it's very likely that they are reading your energy, not your person's energy, because it's not a reading for your person, it's your reading, and they are reading your current energy. Tarot cards are going to be reading your energy. So when you go into asking people, who is this person, is there potential, am I in the right place, you are not supposed to be doing that. You should just sit with yourself and ask yourself that, and you will get the answer. So, but I understand why we want to seek that answer from outside, because when we are unawakened, we think answers are all outside of us. Only people from outside can help us get out of this mess. But truly, it's only when you sit with yourself in isolation that you get the answers directly from source. The other thing that you might do is spend a lot of time looking for answers. So there's tarot readings and all of those readings that you may do. But then there is your own research that goes on. You start asking questions about this relationship. Why are you so obsessed with this person? Why are they not leaving you for a second? Why are you so consumed by their thoughts? And you would wonder that this hasn't happened to you before. You have not been in a relationship that took you so long to come out of. And for me personally, I had such strong boundaries with my previous partners where if I felt like they were crossing those boundaries, I would just leave them. I would just break up and leave. And with this person, I let them step over so many boundaries, and I would still not let them go. I just wanted to be, I don't know, I think he was, when I think about it, the fact that he suffered me through, I think, almost 6 months. We were constantly talking. I was constantly thinking about him for those 6 months. I was obsessed. I was going crazy. I had all these emotions of, I was jealous of everybody that was around him, that was close to him. I used to absolutely hate that he was able to go out and I wasn't able to meet. So this is long distance. We met once in a month, and so the rest of the month we were not meeting, and I would just go crazy in those days when we were not meeting. So what I would do is, in that separation, I wanted to know why it is that I can't forget this person. So I would go on YouTube, I would go on Google and search, and that's when I wouldn't say that's when I came to know about twin flames, but I remember I had come across this term before I met him, if I'm not wrong, if my memory is correct. I remember meeting him before. I remember seeing these words before I met him, but did not really think too much about it. I thought it was just some random thing and did not go into it. But after the breakup and while I was in the separation, I thought, okay, let's see what it's about, So I went on there and it resonated completely. I thought, oh my God, this is exactly what I went through. I had the recognition when we met, and I had this obsessive energy within me rising as we stayed in the relationship for 6 months. Our bubble up probably lasted a month. I think our best month was the first month, and then it just get progressively worse and worse and worse and worse. But anyway, so and when I came to know about twin flames, I was now obsessed about searching about twin flames. I wanted to read everything about twin flames. I wanted to watch every video so I was prepared to face it when the separation were to end. And honestly, it helped to a very large extent. I also came across subliminals. I came across channels, non-twin flame related channels about women being their own person in the relationship and being this out of reach sort of a personality in the relationship, and not constantly being clingy, because if you're clingy, your partner just runs away from you, and so on and so forth. And I think I changed that shifted my perspective quite a bit. And then, of course, reading the book that I mentioned changed my perspective quite a lot. So I wanted to know everything that was there about twin flames, and I kept discovering one channel after another, and then I would obsessively watch current energies of twin flames and do pick a card readings for twin flames and whatnot. So that's another thing that you do, but I feel like I wouldn't say it's a complete waste of time. I think it does motivate you when you are on the right channels that resonate with you. It does motivate you to get into action and start working on yourself. But in that first separation, you're still to a large extent doing all of this to be with your person. You're not completely doing it for yourself. You're not doing it with complete honesty and dedication towards yourself, but you're doing it to get that person, which is fair. You go from one stage to another, and that's completely fine.
So yeah, so obsessively researching about twin flames is another thing. And what else is there? I think I will stick to those which are the most prominent ones that you will indulge yourself in a lot during that time, and ideally you shouldn't, but I know that this also gets better. There will be a time when you will stop these things naturally. Oh, did I mention the stalking? So you will obviously also be stalking your partner. You will be looking them up everywhere. You will be on socials. If they're on social media, you will be checking them up. You will my guy wasn't on social media, but he knew that I was, and I come to know, so after the separation, I come to know that he created a social media channel for himself. I'd like to believe that was to see if it was to stalk me, but well, I don't know. So yeah, the stalking also is very interesting. I started doing that a lot more after my second separation, so I'll come to that in another video. For now, I think that's good. So I'll see you all later.